which I think would have been a real boon to them because he can move around really freaking quickly.
But the shield was brilliant till Gunsmurfus realized, hey, I can just walk through this thing.
Yeah.
Essentially what that ability does is that it protects you from all kinds of firearms,
range damage.
but yeah, ranged, anything ranged, but you can go in there and just melee them, and the person inside the bubble cannot fire, as well. So if anyone goes into that shield, it's just gonna be an all-out melee brawl.
Yeah, which is why I thought it was weird when he was firing it off while they had a red guy inside there capping the midpoint. He did that 2 or 3 times, and I was just really confused by it. Because Warfighter sucks at melee.
He probably had accidentally done it, and like once you've already executed the procedure, you can't really cancel it.
Yeah.
And after he did it, I'm sure he was over there saying, fuck, fuck, fuck.
Hard fought battle though. Especially right there at the end. That was a really cool rally. That was fun to watch.
Oh man, look where the Eldritch Storm struck. There's like a little swirling crater where it landed. That's really neat.
Well, what landed?
When the Eldritch Storm landed, it left a scar on the landscape, like a swirling scar, right where you planted it, right on that barrier. Just a little.
Oh Jesus!
Yeah, you see it?
I didn't even notice that before. I just thought that's how the ground looked. I was like, what was that color before, wasn't it?
It's like, no, that was the Eldritch Storms just torn to pieces.
Pretty. Almost as pretty as that tank.
The Predator, the lone Lego tank that just got smashed.
Oh, I got a question for Gunsmurf. What the fuck is with your color scheme, dude? Especially your apothecary. He just looks like fucking weird. Got a blue head and green shoulders. Man.
Yeah, he'll probably just respond, it's the color of wind.
Yeah, it's working for him. Can't knock it that hard, I guess.
So yeah, definitely. So, final word. If you had to sum up, if you had any recommendations for Blue, what would you say?
I loved Holy Hammer's micro with his tanks until they all died, but I thought it was really quite magnificent how he's able to keep those tanks alive, but he just wasn't able to hold on to them long enough to grab the win.
Yeah, well, I think he assumed the game was over a little early, and that's why he took his level 4 veterancy friggin' Falcon tank and just charged it into the enemy. I think he thought it was just kind of over then. Either they can make a push or they, lose the push and lose it. So I think he just kind of suicided it in hopes of making a mark. But I mean, overall, I think Holy Hammer did well, especially with tank micro and defending his tanks. But overall, I think he just doesn't. He uses the Eldar kind of like he did the Space Marines, in that he kind of bunches them up and uses them as a horde more than he. Moves them around, because like Master said, they're quick, but they're relatively fragile.
They're no horde, that's for damn sure.
Yeah.
They're good for breaking lines, as anybody will tell you, and they're really fast, and they got nice stealth moves and tech moves and defensive moves, and they can buff and debuff like no one's business. And I saw him using all of their techniques, the stuff that's very difficult to do. That, like you said, you got to micromanage the hell out of these guys. They have so many abilities. But you can't manage them as a horde. They're not the Tyranid. You can't make them run up all in somebody and make them be melee fighters, because they're not freaking orcs and they're not Space Marines. They're very, very tactical, and as HellFox mentioned to begin with, they require some finesse, and no one will dismiss Holy Hammer for lack of finesse. But I think that there are some strengths and weaknesses that he needs to reevaluate for Eldar the next time he wants to go up against Tasnaman and Gunsmurfidus.
Still pretty good micro.
No doubt. Micromanagement's a bitch in this game.
It's a bitch in any game, but yeah, this one can be punishing.
I'll talk about the Eldar especially. God, it is mind blowing. At least the first several times you try it.
How long have we been rambling for?
For a good while, but yeah.
You know me, I keep it going forever.
Yeah, but it's good. It's good. I like conversation. But then
I actually have just one final comment, Master. I know you said that they had a bunch of occasions to take down the Falcon tank, and you're right about that. They definitely had some chances to do that. But what I saw was the Falcon tank constantly had that shield around him that absorbs damage by I don't know how much damage it absorbs, but it had that shield around it 24/7. Not to mention it was always with infantry as well. I mean, you're right, it was kind of on the open, but that shield plus the infantry that was around it, that's what made it so tough.
Well, the shield seems to protect against, some fire, straight fire, even direct fire, but it didn't seem to protect it against any kind of sticky nades. A couple of times we saw sticky nades hit it even with the shield, and so it just appeared to me like the other team didn't even really want to drop a concerted effort. Hell, they didn't even have to drop. And then the point, what I was talking about, where they had to drop on, is when they actually had a big set of like knobs or other melee squad on top of the tank. I mean, granted, you don't typically take out a tank with a melee squad, but when it has no health yet left, why not?
Yeah, it's like basically with melee fighters, like if they're armed with like those sledgehammers or whatnot, they can be just as effective as any rocket when they get up to the tank. So they could have smashed it to pieces.
But I did see both teams do that. Like Holy Hammer and Blasted T2 had the drop on a loot tank, the loot tank at the beginning several times before they finally took it out, and they let it escape several times too. And sometimes I kind of wonder when they were doing that if Holy Hammer was telling Blasted T2, no, leave it, I can subdue their tank. They will hide behind their tank or run with their tank thinking that it will support them, and then as soon as I remove that piece, his entire squad crumbles. So I want the tank to stay until they decided it was a nuisance and removed it, which is a very clever tactic.
Yeah, indeed. So to sum up, good job, Red Team, in holding those points, even though it kind of came down to the wire there. Holy Hammer and Blasted T2 could use a little bit of more work with their Orc and Elder combo.
Good push, though. Good push. That was so much fun to watch. 3 points left, and they managed to stall it.
And we can't complain on the blue team too much, seeing as close as they got.
Yeah.
But considering the skill of these of Holy Hammer and his cohorts, we did kind of have higher hopes and expected it to be a little bit more one-sided, and didn't see that. So maybe that's kind of where we're coming from.
Oh well. So good games, and hope to see you get home next time. This is HellFox with the OS Team Vidcast squad here, signing out. Say goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Conclusion, toodles. Unbelievable. What am I doing with my life?